Are prophetic headlines about to be made? Is an Arab-Israeli war imminent? Today, discover how current Mideast events could indicate that a war of epic proportion, fulfilling end-time Bible prophecy, may be approaching. All this and more on Jewish Voice.
Shalom and welcome to Jewish Voice, a program that helps you to understand the Jewishness of Yeshua, Jesus, why that matters to you, and what God is doing today with Israel. On today's program, we're exploring the prophetic implications of current Middle East events that our guest believes is about to culminate in an all-out war between the Arab world and Israel. Here to continue a discussion that we started last week is noted author and the founder of Prophecy Depot Ministries, Bill Salus. Bill, welcome back again.
Jonathan, thank you so much. Good.
Fascinating discussion last week on the program about Psalm 83. Now, a lot of the people that are watching the program today weren't able to watch last week. You need to watch last week's program. But can you give us just a brief overview of Psalm 83 again? I think it's important that people understand.
Absolutely. Ancient Hebrew prophecy written 3,000 years ago, dealing with a climactic, including Arab-Israeli war with Arab states and terrorist populations that share common borders with Israel, that want to destroy the nation of Israel, that the name of Israel would be remembered no more, which I believe very well could be an imminent event that could happen in the very near future.
Okay, now we left off last week talking about, well, beginning a list, 6 things that you believe need to take place before that conflict. And you gave us one last week. Let's go through a few of them now, okay?
Yes, when you just analyze Psalm 83, it's quite clear that there's 6 primary ingredients that have to happen before it can find final fulfillment. One is you've got to have Israelis, because it talks about in Psalm 83, verse 3, that there's going to be crafty counsel. They consent together against your people, it says, referring to the Jewish people. Now, after persecution, coming out of the Holocaust, you know, the fact of the matter is there are Israeli people now, okay? They weren't, the attempt of Hitler failed. So we have Israeli people. We also have to have an Israel, because in verse 4, they want to destroy the nation of Israel, that the name of Israel will be remembered no more.
That's the foundational end-time event, isn't it? The restoration of the state of the land of Israel, the people of Israel to the land.
You're touching my heart, Jonathan. This is the super sign Jesus gave in Matthew 24. It really is. That's when the world hourglass made its final turn.
Right.
And God has big plans for little Israel.
I don't know how people can miss that. I don't know how.
No ethnic group outside of its homeland for over 400 years has been able to survive. The Jewish people were out in the nations of the world from 70 AD to 1948. That is 1,878 years.
And then the survival of Israel since they declared statehood in 1948. It's been one battle after another. The odds that they could survive outnumbered 60 to 1 is just miraculous.
It's a modern-day miracle. And what do we have? We have an Israeli Defense Forces existing in fulfillment of prophecy because they had to survive those wars. And they are ferocious right now.
They are.
That's the other third ingredient. You have to have an Israeli Defense Forces, because Asaph, the prophet who wrote the psalm, says in verses 9 through 11, he petitions the Lord to empower the Israeli Defense Forces to deal with this battle. And he points back to Judges 4 through 8, where Gideon dealt with the Midianites, where Barak, during the time of Prophetess Deborah, dealt with the Canaanites. So you have to have an Israeli Defense Forces in place. You also have to have Palestinian refugees in place, because the star of this plight, if you will, this confederacy, is the tents of Edom. Now, the Edomites are descendants from Esau.
So is that for the refugees?
The Palestinian refugees, they became a reality in 1948.
So the survival of the Jewish people, the restoration of Israel, the land of Israel, 1948, the creation of the IDF, the formation of the IDF, which is a fulfillment of Bible prophecy, you believe.
Yes.
And then the Palestinian refugee situation.
The lead participant, the very first name, the tents of Edom, representing a refugee condition biblically, of the 10 members in the Psalm 83 coalition, verses 6 through 8.
I got to stop you there. I know there's 2 more, but we have to take a break. When we come back, the last 2 things that Bill says need to be in place before a major Middle East battle can occur. Fascinating stuff. You don't want to miss it. We'll be right back.
Jewish Voice is dedicated to proclaiming the gospel, the good news that Yeshua, Jesus, is the Messiah, to the Jew first and also to the nations. One way we do this is by helping some of the most impoverished and needy Jewish people in the world, people who often die from medical conditions that here in the West could be easily treated. Even more important than the physical relief our medical help provides is the fact that our practical demonstration of His love opens the door for us to share the good news. Today, we are just weeks away from our next medical clinic in Ethiopia to help the impoverished Jewish community there. Our volunteer medical professionals will provide medical care, dental care, and eye care, all free of charge, to thousands of men, women, and children, many of whom have never even seen a doctor or dentist. Will you help these precious people? Every gift, large or small, will make a difference in someone's life. As you respond with a gift of $40 or more, we will send you Jonathan Bernis's latest book, A Rabbi Looks at the Last Days. In this insightful and inspirational book, which is completely updated and rewritten, you'll discover surprising insights from both the Old and New Testaments that will challenge almost everything you thought you knew about the end times. Exactly how biblical prophecies are being fulfilled right now and what that means for you, and what you can do to prepare for the Messiah's return. In addition, we'll also send you Bill Salus's powerful 3-DVD series titled Psalm 83, The Missing Prophecy Revealed, How Israel Became the Next Mideast Superpower. This DVD version of his book includes helpful PowerPoint slides, maps, and descriptive images, all of which combined help to reinforce the book's 3 critical teachings. Psalm 83 or Ezekiel 38. What is the next Mideast news headline? The future for America in Bible prophecy, and the prophetic implications of current Middle East events and how they can affect you. Please call, click, or write now, and please be as generous as possible. When you respond, you will be providing life-saving medical help to very needy Jewish people. And Psalm 83, The Missing Prophecy Revealed DVD, and Jonathan Bernis's book will be a constant reminder of your partnership with us to demonstrate His love. Thank you.
I'm back with the host of the radio show Prophecy Update, Bill Salus, and we're discussing his most recent book that deals with end-time prophecy and Israel. Bill, fascinating. The whole view of Psalm 83, like the missing link, perhaps an end-time prophecy. And you were going through a list of things that have to happen before that's fulfilled. You gave us 4 of them. There's 2 left.
Right, absolutely. We had to have Israelis, we had to have a land of Israel back in place, we had to have the Israeli Defense Forces in place, we needed to have a refugee crisis with the Palestinian refugees, and now we've got 2 other final ones that are in place, Jonathan. Verse 5 of Psalm 83 talks about a confederacy. The Hebrew word is berith, and it's a league. And they had to have an Arab confederacy, an Arab league, which was formed in 1945 in Cairo. We've got that in place. But the 6th one that is critical is the ancient hatred. These Arabs want to come together because of their hatred of Israel. They want to destroy the Jewish state. They want to wipe it off the map. And that is in place. And it's an ancient hatred spoken about in several places in the Bible, Ezekiel 35:5 and Ezekiel 25:15. And it talks about populations of the Philistines and the Edomites. They're in Psalm 83.
And they are the modern carriers of anti-Semitism. It's not just anti-Zionism.
Right.
And it is rabid hatred for not only Israel, but really for the Jewish people as well. We're seeing it all over the world now. We have a map, and I want to go into a little more detail on the Confederates, the modern Confederates that you see Psalm 83 describing. So let's go to the map. We'll put it up on the screen now for people to see. Talk about the Confederates here.
And that's important, Jonathan, absolutely, because when Asaph wrote 3,000 years ago, he did not have Palestinians and Hezbollah and Jordanians. He had Edomites and Ammonites and Moabites, etc. So as I'll take the liberty as if Asaph was sitting here in your studio right now to use in the vernacular of his time, who he was identifying. And what he had Gabal, which would be up in Lebanon. He had the inhabitants of Tyre, which would also be in Lebanon, and I would consider them to be probably the Hezbollah, if this prophecy is about to find fulfillment, as I suspect it does. He talked about Assyria, which would, at the time he wrote, would have included Syria and Iraq. He talked about Ammon, Moab, and Edom. These were northern, central, and southern Jordan, respectively. Edomites, of course, made their way into Israel. So you had Idumeans, that was a Greek word for Edomites. So you had the Palestinian refugees. They have ethnical representation in the Palestinians. Edomites do. Amalek would be in the Arabs of the Sinai. You had the Ishmaelites. Ishmael was the father of the Arabs. A nation was promised to come out of his loins. Saudi Arabia, we would suspect, is there. The Hagarenes, Hagar was the matriarch, the Egyptian matriarch, the mother of Ishmael. We would have the Egyptians. You would probably have to throw in the Muslim Brotherhood in there as well.
So he was describing the modern Arab world that is committed to pushing Israel into the sea.
In the terms that he had at his time. And so this prophecy has not found fulfillment yet.
Let me focus your attention and talk about Egypt, because Egypt is really, I'm really paying a lot of attention to what's happening in Egypt. And you know the saying, as goes Egypt, so goes the Arab world. Egypt's critical.
Absolutely. Definitely the wild card to be watching for here. I do want to say one last thing on that map. We didn't talk about Philistia. The Philistines are in Psalm 83. That would be the Hamas. Now, Egypt. Egypt is mentioned about 565 times in the Bible. And there are 3 specific judgments that are going to happen to Egypt, written by Ezekiel, Jeremiah, and Isaiah. One of them was in the past, fulfilled by Nebuchadnezzar in 568 BC. But there are 2 other ones. One is a present and one is a future. The future one is when the Antichrist goes in Daniel 11, verses 42 and 43, and he plunders Egypt for the treasuries of Egypt and things like that. But there's another one we'll find out in Isaiah 19, which is critical, and I think it's present, and I think it's got something to do with Psalm 83. Jonathan, do you realize that Egypt is going to go from the #1 Arab country that exists right now? Its army is ranked number 16. It's the most advanced Arab army in the world right now. As you said, as goes Egypt, so goes the whole Middle East. It's going to become the lowliest kingdom of all kingdoms, and according to Ezekiel 29, and in the Messianic kingdom, it will be the lowliest of all kingdoms. How does it go from where it is right now to descend down to a level where it becomes the lowliest kingdom? And so Isaiah 19 talks about that the Lord is going to be a judgment. Isaiah 19:1. He's going to come in like a swift cloud. The idols of Egypt will totter. And then he goes on and says, Egyptian will come against Egyptian, brother against brother, neighbor against neighbor, city against city, kingdom against kingdom. You have a civil war that begins. Civil strife, civil war.
Well, that's easy to believe. That's easy to see now.
I'm telling you, it's almost as if Isaiah was standing in the streets of Tahrir Square saying, the Arab Spring has burgeoned from Tunisia. It's spread like wildfires, like a swift-moving cloud. It's over in Egypt now. And their brothers are coming against brothers. Egyptians they're throwing Molotov cocktails at each other. They're killing, and the streets are bloodied. It's almost as if...
And then there's Syria. Syria is going through the same thing.
Well, Syria, the Arab Spring has become an Arab apocalypse. It really has. The Sharia law is going to be implemented in Egypt, law through the Quran. Syria, a revolution, chemical weapons going all over the place, probably going to get in the wrong hands, maybe used against Israel. That's of great concern. Israel's very concerned about that. And Arabs are killing Arabs over there, and we don't know what the outcome will be. But the Western-style democracies that the liberal pundits thought were going to emerge as a result of the Arab Spring is a fallacy.
It's a fallacy. It's a pipe dream. So much is happening. We're just racing towards this. I want to go back to one of the 6 points that I really find fascinating, and that is that the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, are a direct fulfillment of Bible prophecy. I just want to rewind you to that. I think that's fascinating.
It is fascinating, and we briefly touched on this in the last show in Ezekiel 37:10. We have a prophecy where the Jews come out of a Holocaust condition and emerge into an exceedingly great army. And that's the case that has had to happen. From refugees to number 10 world ranked army in the world presently.
What do you see the future holding for Hamas and the Palestinians?
Well, we just turn to the Bible. We've got in Ezekiel 25, verses 15, the prophecy of the Philistines. They will experience serious rebukes. The vengeance of God will be laid upon them for their involvement in Psalm 83. Zephaniah 2, we find out in verses 5 through 7 that Gaza will be forsaken. Ekron will be uprooted. These were cities of ancient Philistia. They will be destroyed, and Judah will take possession.
We don't have much time left, but I need you to touch on Iran. I need to touch on Iran. That's obviously you have a president that's claiming that is committed to wiping Israel off the map and says it publicly.
Well, we've got geopolitical things concerned about Iran. We've got geoprophetical things concerned about Iran. Israel cannot kick that nuclear can down much longer with Iran. Many of us believe that they would strike Iran's nuclear program in 2012. But 2013 may be the year they have to do that.
And they may have if it wasn't for this White House.
Well, at this point in time, I think they're going to have to take matters into their own hands.
Yeah, so do I.
Because the Iranian regime has stated quite clearly that they want to wipe Israel off the map. And
There's so much more we could talk about. We're out of time, but I'm just amazed at how you've been putting these pieces together. The Lord's really leading you. Bill's produced a great DVD that I want to get into your hands. It's called Psalm 83, The Missing Prophecy Revealed, How Israel Becomes the Next Mideast Superpower. It's very well researched, and it addresses what's happening in the Middle East and how it will affect Israel, America, and you. We'll be right back.
Jewish Voice is dedicated to proclaiming the gospel, the good news that Yeshua, Jesus, is the Messiah, to the Jew first and also to the nations. One way we do this is by helping some of the most impoverished and needy Jewish people in the world, people who often die from medical conditions that here in the West could be easily treated. Even more important than the physical relief our medical help provides is the fact that our practical demonstration of His love opens the door for us to share the good news. Today, we are just weeks away from our next medical clinic in Ethiopia to help the impoverished Jewish community there. Our volunteer medical professionals will provide medical care, dental care, and eye care, all free of charge, to thousands of men, women, and children, many of whom have never even seen a doctor or dentist. Will you help these precious people? Every gift, large or small, will make a difference in someone's life. As you respond with a gift of $40 or more, we will send you Jonathan Bernis's latest book, A Rabbi Looks at the Last Days. In this insightful and inspirational book, which is completely updated and rewritten, you'll discover surprising insights from both the Old and New Testaments that will challenge almost everything you thought you knew about the end times. Exactly how biblical prophecies are being fulfilled right now and what that means for you, and what you can do to prepare for the Messiah's return. In addition, we'll also send you Bill Salus's powerful 3-DVD series titled Psalm 83, The Missing Prophecy Revealed, How Israel Became the Next Mideast Superpower. This DVD version of his book includes helpful PowerPoint slides, maps, and descriptive images, all of which combined help to reinforce the book's 3 critical teachings. Psalm 83 or Ezekiel 38. What is the next Mideast news headline? The future for America in Bible prophecy, and the prophetic implications of current Middle East events and how they can affect you. Please call, click, or write now, and please be as generous as possible. When you respond, you will be providing life-saving medical help to very needy Jewish people. And Psalm 83, The Missing Prophecy Revealed DVD, and Jonathan Bernis's book will be a constant reminder of your partnership with us to demonstrate His love. Thank you.